Good evening, students. It's a pleasure to interact with you today on behalf of Board of Studies. I, Dayanivas Sharma, Chairman of Board of Studies. Along with me, I have Vishal Doshiji, Vice Chairman Board of Studies, and Director Board of Studies, Vandana Nagpalji. We are waiting for our President to join us in a shorter time. He is going to come and share his thoughts on the new CRET. And also Vice President is going to join us very quickly. But the most important part, I am really thankful, rather, we all are really thankful to all the students who have given their responses already in last 4 to 5 days and has been a overwhelming feedback which we have got. And even now, few thousands of students have actually joined to listen to this entire discussion today. From the Council Hall of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, it's a privilege to share the new thought process which our institute is going to get before all the students who are going to be writing their exams in time to come. Boys and girls, one thing which I would like to tell you is there has been a very huge thought process which has gone through this new CRET, which has been put before you all people for the public exposure. The process was to put this CRET committee, and then there are certain steps which we had to do. What I'll do is I'll just request the office to put forward a presentation and a slide of a brief history of CRET. Just change slide. Just for all you people, because most of the chartered accountants who have qualified, who have come across time and again this kind of CRET, which has been there from 1975. Just for you all students, I would like to tell, every 10 years, a CRET, which is Committee for Education and Training, for review of education and training is been formed in every 10 years. It is very important for all you people to know that every time there has been a change in a gap of 10 years, but this is the first time within 7 years we are actually getting the new CRET. Not because of any other reason, but only because of the blessing in disguise, I'll put it. The COVID period has transformed the entire learning and teaching scenarios. Even when I go back to my daughter's school and I see how the teaching is happening, is a big surprise to all of us. You all youngsters are been in schools, this curriculum is of the computers and multiple such things which is coming up in a large manner. So what we thought is, when there is a necessity, not only from the situation based, but also the new education policy NEP 2020 is demanding a major overhaul in the entire education system of the country. And really we are proud that multiple countries across the globe have already appreciated our new education policy, which has been proposed by our Honorable Prime Minister of country, Narendra Modi ji. Now, considering that factor, and also keeping in the biggest disruption which has happened during this last 2 years, there has been a lot of new ways of learning which has been coming to people. What we thought is the new education policy, the new way of learning, and more importantly, we have mapped ourselves for the international curriculum which we need to do it. And you all will be happy that NARIC has actually given its they have signed an MOU with ICAI and given equivalency of post graduation globally, and multiple such things have been happening at the national level. The most and the critical part has been launch of international curriculum globally. That was the aim which the council had in the last term, and we have actually started working towards the international curriculum. And if you all might have seen, we have introduced the concept of international industrial training, where a student can go internationally anywhere and get uh, industrial training done at any level. So considering multiple such factors, what we thought is the new CRET is actually going to add value, and the learning experience can be different. That is what we have thought. And I'll also request, in the meantime, when the president and vice president comes, uh, vice chairman of board of studies Vishal Doshi ji can give his words also, so that we can take the discussion forward from there.
Very good evening to the dear students, boys and girls. I would say that this is our first national outreach meeting after we have hosted the CRET. I know many of you would be asking what this CRET is. CRET means it is Committee for Review of Education and Training. The committee is installed by the council. It got installed in the year 2020, and the committee submitted its report, and it went to the ministry, from where we've got an in principle approval, and now we have the feedback window open for 30 days, which closes on 1st of July. So our first request to all of you would be that please do submit your feedback, which is available at the Board of Studies cret.icai.org. That is the link that is there. So request you to please submit your feedback on that. Dear students, I'll just explain what would be the process, that once you give your feedback, then the suggestions would be evaluated, and they would be discussed and deliberated at the Board of Studies level, then at the council level, and wherever there are suggestions which can be incorporated, they would be deliberated, and necessary and suitable changes would be carried out to the scheme, and thereafter it would go to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs again for their approval, and then once they approve it, it would get finally notified. After it would get finally notified, then at the same time there would be the transitional provisions that would be announced with respect to the scheme, the proposed scheme or the notified scheme, I would say, and the transitional provisions with respect to the examination, the other changes that are there with respect to the practical training, and all would come into effect as per the transitional provisions. So this is what is the whole the process forward, and the way that, so now we'll be taking you through the salient features of the scheme. So I would once again request Daya sir, the chairman of the Board of Studies, to take the presentation forward.
Thank you, Vishal bhai, and I can only appreciate you all people being part of this entire transformational journey. Students, one thing I would like to tell is not for you today. For years to come, we need to give a feedback. And this transitionary provisions which are going to be there, and this transitions which we are going to look at in this time, is going to be something very interesting, because almost every aspect has changed. The way we have been doing audits have changed. The way the entire approach for getting the documentation, doing multiple things is changed. The way of learning is changed. Most of you might have already downloaded the BOS app. If you all remember, or rather I and Vishal can remember very well, that when we were doing our studying for CA, we had to physically go and sit in the class. But now in the BOS app, you can just open that app, view a past recorded lecture, or might be a live lectures which are actually been happening. There are many such changes which we are now going to propose in the BOS app in time to come. But the most important part is you all are going through a different lives of learning. We are also learning with you. Rather, I'll put it this way, because the expectations to meet of young, boys and girls makes whole lot of difference for us to really understand your thought process, to take things forward in a true manner. What we will do is certain very important aspects which our president or vice president are going to share. I'm not going to touch upon that. Rather, let us actually take the first slide, which is on the comparison of the old and the new syllabus. I hope by now you all people might have seen this slide across, because we have been transparent in the entire process. The moment we went for a outreach program, at that moment we have actually shared the presentation with all the stakeholders. That was the level of transparency which president wanted us to keep and maintain, because of which we have received few thousands of responses already, and we are still waiting for more to come, so that we can do a very effective assessment of the responses and the decision can be taken in a good quality manner. So this slide which we are talking about is a comparison between the existing and the proposed scheme. As you all know, there were 4 papers in foundation. We will continue to have 4 papers in foundation, but there is a small change which has been proposed there, that we'll discuss when we go to the syllabus of foundation. Intermediate, we had 8 papers, and the 8 papers are now trimmed down to 6 without any compromise in the learning process. Without in the compromise of a learning process. Here, we have introduced a self-paced learning module, which is a different way of learning, which we otherwise have adopted in our digital learning hub and online classes. Further, in the final course, from 8, we have reduced the papers to 6. So in total, the number of papers which you are going to learn is going to be more or less the same. It's not going to change. But the burden or might be the stress while writing the examination, that I need to do so many papers or so many topics or so many subjects at one go, will come down, because certain portion of the syllabus is now moved to self-paced learning. In the self-paced learning, anytime, anywhere, learning can be done. That we are going to discuss at length in next slides. Here I request my vice chairman to take it forward for the foundation level papers and all.
Yeah. So now, starting with the course curriculum, I would say the papers at each of the 3 levels and how they are being integrated, or how they compare with the existing examination papers that we have. So starting with the foundation level, like the chairman mentioned, that we are continuing with as far as the number of papers is concerned, they remain 4 at the foundation level. The first paper is on accounting. Now at the foundation level, I would just like to draw attention of the students that the accounting, some of the portion of accounting at the intermediate level is proposed to be moved to accounting at the foundation level paper. So there is one change as far as the content or the syllabus of accounting is concerned. Coming to paper 2 at the foundation level, presently what we have is the business laws and business correspondence and reporting, which is a 60-40 mark paper. The proposed paper is only on business laws, which would be a descriptive type paper, not MCQ. So we would be having, instead of a 60 marks business law paper, as in the current syllabus, it would be now a 100 mark descriptive paper of business laws. So this will help in communication skills, understanding of laws, and also how to reproduce them by way of the writing skills. As far as the second leg of this paper, as is presently the business correspondence and reporting is concerned, it is now not proposed to be included in the new syllabus, new course, but to facilitate students with the requisite communication skills, there is a proposal that there would be a course, an online course that would be launched with respect to English language and the business communication, which would be recommendatory in nature for the students. So that is with respect to paper 2 of the foundation. The paper 3, which is the quantitative aptitudes, it would contain business mathematics, logical reasoning, and statistics, and is equivalent to the paper 3 of the foundation level papers as is currently there. So there is no change in that. That would be a MCQ based paper. So paper 1 and paper 3 would be MCQ based. Paper 2 and paper 4 would be the descriptive types. So coming to paper 4 on business economics, what we have presently is business economics and business and commercial knowledge. So it is again, this is also a 60-40 paper. What is being proposed is that business economics, which is 60% presently, will now become a full-fledged 100 marks descriptive paper at the foundation level. And the portion on business and commercial knowledge is being dropped because it is now being understood that as practical training, as part of the practical training, the students would be exposed to the business and commercial knowledge and would be able to gain the requisite knowledge with respect to these aspects. So as far as the foundation level papers are concerned, these are the proposed changes and these are the papers that would be there in the proposed syllabus. Moving to the next level, the intermediate level papers. So here, it has been already mentioned that presently we are having 8 papers at the intermediate level, and now the proposal is to have 6 papers at the intermediate level. So paper 1 and paper 5, which is accounting and advanced accounting presently, would get merged into advanced accounting. So typically it would be a merger of 2 papers into 1 paper, and it would not be something like a 200 marks thing. What would be there would be that some of the content of the paper 1 and paper 5, which the institute feels is not of practical utility, might get dropped, and some of the elements of the intermediate level paper of paper 1 specially would be moved to the foundation level, and therefore it would get evenly spread across foundation as well as the intermediate examination. So that is paper 1 of the proposed scheme. The paper 2 of the proposed scheme is corporate laws. Again, a change over here. Presently, what we have is the corporate and other laws. The other laws are being dropped from the intermediate curriculum. It would be only corporate laws. And what is being proposed is the Companies Act presently is being divided between the intermediate and the final level papers. The proposal now is that corporate levels, the whole Companies Act would be now forming part of paper 2 at the intermediate level. And so what would happen is that since the articleship would commence after both the groups of the intermediate, and the article or the student would have learned the whole Companies Act at the intermediate level, the student would be able to apply the provisions of the Companies Act in a much better manner during the course of the articleship. So that is with respect to paper 2 at the intermediate level. Paper 3, cost and management accounting, it is similar what is there in the current scheme and what is there in the proposed scheme, no changes. Paper 4, similarly, taxation, which would cover direct tax as well as indirect tax, that would remain same as in the current scheme and proposed scheme. Paper 5, now it would be auditing and the code of ethics. Presently it is auditing and assurance, which is now the code of ethics would also get imbibed into the paper 5 at the intermediate level, and so this would now be a auditing and code of ethics paper. Coming to the paper 6, it is a combination of the current paper 7 and paper 8. Friends, as you can see on the screen, paper 7 presently we have EIS and SM. So SM portion would be there as a 50 marks in the proposed paper 6, and the EIS is being dropped from the intermediate level. And what would happen is that technology is being included as a part of each of the paper at the final level. So EIS and SM is being split in that manner. SM would continue as a 50 marks in intermediate, and EIS, the technology portion, would be there at the final level in each of the papers. Paper 8, FM and economics for finance. The FM would continue as a part of paper 6 in the proposed scheme for 50 marks, and economics for finance, that would be included as the paper at the foundation level under the economics paper at the foundation level, and so that would get covered there, and the balance financial management 50 marks would be continued at the intermediate level. So this is with respect to the intermediate level examination. So before we go to the final level papers, we have the Honorable Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, CA Aniket Sunil Talati, with us. And I would request VP sir to kindly address the students on this outreach meeting, sir.
Thank you very much, Vishal Bhai, the Vice Chairperson of the Board of Studies Academic, Chairman BOS Dayaneva Sharma ji, the Director of BOS Vanna ji, and all my dear student friends who are here. A very good evening to all of you, and sorry for the interruption, but I think after intermediate, anyways, we have an interruption, which is the practical training, and then you go to your final and online. So similar to our course, in the presentation of CRET, which Vishal Bhai was giving, he covered foundation and intermediate. And as a practical aspect, Vice President, myself and President will be addressing you. So I think it's very important for us to be having this interaction with all the students. A very important and milestone moment which is happening in the Chartered Accountancy curriculum. First of all, let me calm all your nerves, especially for those who are already pursuing this course. And I'm seeing a lot of people reaching out to me on social media, messaging, oh sir, we have already enrolled. What will happen to us? Will this new course replace us? Will we no longer be able to do our articleship? Will that get reduced? So in any time that the CRET has been implemented, and this has been done at least 5 times in the past, right from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and even in the 2017 last change that was done, there is always a transitional provision for students who are currently pursuing this course. So let me first of all address all of you, because you are at some level who are listening to this very important webinar, pursuing this course, and be assured that the council, the Board of Studies, and everybody associated with you is extremely concerned that nothing should happen which will hamper your interests or which will be prejudicial to you. And to ensure that, we will have a very good transitional scheme to ensure that you are taken care of. But having said that, we also have to appreciate that the world is fast changing, and how on your mobile phones, as soon as the new operating system upgrade is launched, maybe by Android or Apple, you immediately go and update yourself. Similarly, many of you would want to do an update of your curriculum as and when it becomes applicable, and you are eligible to take benefit of the new course, because we all want to qualify with the new course. And let me compliment here the entire council, especially the Board of Studies, Dayaneva Sharma ji and Vishal Doshi ji, for getting the in principle approval of the central government, after which the exposure draft for 30 days has been launched. And I'm sure the chairman would have mentioned the entire online portal through which you are able to give your feedback. I would encourage each one who's listening, please open your mobile phones or your laptop computers and ensure that you are using this very important web page. It is boscret.icai.org, boscret.icai.org. We will show it to you on the screen for a moment. That is the web page that you must all log into and try and fill up the various fields which are given. You can see it on your screen. There are various tabs where your feedback is going to be sought. It may be the basic information, which is your personal information, so that we can collate and populate the data. Information about the foundation course, the intermediate course, the practical training, the final course, various other aspects. And like you can see on the screen, you have to select student, fill in the details applicable to you, validate through your OTP, and move forward based on the selections that you are providing. And of course, we will take information on every part of amendments which are being proposed: the foundation course, the intermediate course, the practical training aspects, the self-paced modules, a very important change which is coming in this course. And for those who are feeling that, oh, subjects are reduced, no, we are now introducing the new methodology of learning. And more importantly, new methodology of testing, because these self-paced online modules not only will provide online learning, but also your testing of how well you have understood these concepts will be done online. And make no mistake, this will be proctored. They will be ensured that they are testing your knowledge in the right way. But it is my personal strong belief, this is the future, and it may take 5, 10, 15, whatever number of years. Future of all courses in this world will have to have a huge dependence on online mode of delivery of education as well as online mode of testing. And I think Institute is taking a huge leap of faith by introducing these self-paced online modules. We also have section on soft skills in IT, the GMCS that you are all doing, and so many of you have appreciated. We also have the final course tab, which talks about the papers in the final course, the exit route through which BAA has been introduced in case you do not clear, and of course the eligibility for COP. Some very important changes that are happening with regards to the course, and I would encourage all of you who are joining in today to please enter these details as we welcome our Honorable President, CA Dr. Debashish Mitraji, to address all of us. But yes, please ensure that your frank opinion and views are given. Don't be simply driven by somebody's tweet or message on Instagram or some post, or maybe somebody telling you this is not right. Apply your own independent mind. Think what is right for you, because all of us who are sitting here, we have the best interests of all of you, our dear students, at the core of our heart. And there is no intention in anyone to make sure if we can make things difficult for you or we are not able to make things right for you. The intention of everybody in the council is to only ensure that we are able to show you the future and move the course and make it more relevant for tomorrow. And with this entire changes have been done. I am confident you will all take this course revision in that perspective, give your independent, frank, honest feedback, and ensure that the aim of the ICAI to make this course an international curriculum, which is not just pursued by students in India, but pursued by students in Africa, America, Europe, other parts of Asia, Australia. All of them look at doing the CA course from ICAI, and we raise the bar and raise the flag of ICAI even further. I wish all of you who are attending this program and who will be listening in later all the very best in your journey towards becoming a chartered accountant. And let us all together once again recommit ourselves to this wonderful profession. Thank you.
Thank you, VP sir. I think a very detailed explanation. And I learned one thing. When parents teach something, believe in them, brothers and sisters play around with us. So a lot of people who have actually grown out of this institute might give different kind of suggestions, but please understand the parental view is the only view which is very important. As a student, you need to understand very effectively and take things forward in a true spirit. But when we have our Honorable President, CA Dr. Debashish Mitraji with us, I always remember one point which he mentions, which I actually noted down long back. And let me share with you one thing, which actually gives me a lot of motivation as a chairman of Board of Studies. He mentioned in one of his deliberations, if you knew me yesterday, you don't know me anymore. I grow daily and I am ICAI. And that is how President has given us a new vision of this new CRET, which is not only going to answer the requirements of this nation, but globally we are required. The answer and message is very simple, with 65 international chapters and 13 plus MRAs and MOUs which are being signed with various institutes across globe. It makes us more relevant, more advanced. And I do not want to be in between, because I have been getting a lot of motivation from my president. I think you all deserve to get equally there. So President sir, I request you to kindly.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Aniket Talati, the Chairman of Board of Studies, Dayaniba Sharma to my left, and then the Vice Chairman, Vishal Doshi to my right. the Director Board of Studies, Vanda Nagpal, and to all of you student friends, a very, very good evening. I'll pick up 2 or 3 statements, sentences that I just heard just now. First of all, the vice presidents are saying that apply your independent mind. You know, this new course that we have developed is all about application of mind. When we are talking about an open book system, when we are talking about case studies, we are all talking about application of mind. We are just saying that the concepts of the students who take up the chartered accountancy course must be very, very clear. And when your concept is clear, wherever you go, suppose you say they say that, you know, you are asked what exam did you pass, and you say that chartered accountancy from India, and then if the answer is it's a great course, you feel good. And that is what we were trying to do, trying to develop a course for you which is totally modern, totally relevant, and which will help you in really climb the ladder of success. Daniva Sharma sitting to my right was talking about, you know, growing all the time. And that is, you know, so very important, because if you are stagnant, if you are going to be in the same place at all times, the existing course was developed about 7 years back. So see, if you are going to, you know, if the institute would have remained stagnant, you know, the course would not be so relevant. Today, what has happened? Technology is changing. Totally, you see, so the way we have seen the course, it has changed very much. GST laws have changed a lot since its introduction in 2017. Ethics, the ethical standards have changed. So today, you see, there have been so many changes taking place around us. And if the course does not incorporate this kind of changes, then the course will not be relevant and forward-looking. So when we developed the course, we said that let us have a course in which, you see, the students at the present moment, the course that in which you are part of, that also makes you a global accountant. But then let us make a course which is maybe, you see, more relevant globally, which is in sync with the changes that is taking place, which is in sync with the national education policy that was introduced by the government of India, which is in sync with the technological changes that have taken place. So, you know, with those, and which is in sync in giving you respect as a chartered accountant. So, see, with these ideas in mind, we have developed this course. Now, this course, all these 3 gentlemen who are with me, Aniket Talati, Vishal Doshi, Dayaniva Sharma, they had to make presentations about this course before the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And when they made presentations, they were asked so many questions. And all of them, they said that this is for the betterment of the profession and for the betterment of the students. But then we do not think that we are the repository and depository of all wisdom. We need to have your feedback, because after all, you are going to be affected the maximum with your new course. When I say that the articleship period is going to be reduced to 2 years, do you like it or you don't like it? So that becomes a very important aspect. You see, we are, you see, pro-student measures. We are saying stipend is going to be, you see, enhanced by 100%. I'm sure, you see, you like that. We are saying that if by chance you cannot pass the CA examination, but you have passed the intermediate, then you will be given a BAA qualification, so that even though you are not a chartered accountant, you can still make a living with the BAA qualification, Business Accounting Associate qualification that we are going to provide. So, you know, we are trying, if you see the ways that we have introduced the contents of the course, the intricacies of the course, you'll find these are all student friendly, professional friendly, and these are all steps that have been taken to ensure that you are respected. Not only when you become a chartered accountant, but you are respected when you are doing this course. Let me tell you this, when I talk about respect, The other day before yesterday, we had this program of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in Vigyan Bhavan. One of the president of one of the regulators, he just walked across to me and he said that, look, I've seen the new course that you have developed. And let me tell you, I like whatever is there in the new course. I just looked around and just looked at his face. The new course has been just out for a few days back. But he said that I like it. And he was, as a regulator, saying that maybe we shall also go along the same way. So I like the whatever words that he said. So, but at the end of the day, all of you also must like the contents of the course. If you have any suggestions for betterment, please do not hesitate to provide those suggestions. We are totally here with an open mind. We are not here with a closed mind, because what we are all committed is the well-being of the students and ensuring that the chartered accountancy qualification is respected worldwide. The institute has more than 750,000 students. Over a period of time, the Board of Studies has worked very hard for the well-being of the students, and I have no doubt it will do everything possible to ensure that the students' interests are given top priority. But now it is time for you to take ownership of this new course and give your comments. So I wish all of you the very best, and I just request all of you to have a just look at the new syllabus, the curriculum that we are having, and give your comments. Wishing all of you once again all the very best in your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President, sir. Actually, indeed, coming from you, it makes a whole lot of difference. But there cannot be a better opportunity today, sir, where one more gentleman who has just joined us, the council member, Mr. Mangesh Kinre, who has actually been one of the most instrumental in designing the past curriculum. He is there with us today. And Mangesh bhai, thank you very much for joining us. So, students, you heard President talking about the transparency with which we are actually taking it forward. This course has just not come like that. There has been multiple meetings which have been done by the CRET as a committee, and 4 groups were formed. And these 4 groups, after forming and discussing at length in the council, was presented before the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Standing to the test of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, we know how difficult it was, because the government also is very strongly thinking about having a very quality education policy, which I discussed at the beginning. And NEP 2020 globally has been recognized as one of the best education policy, which has been recently reported in newspapers also. Considering that factor, and more importantly, considering the factor that we are going to be the world host for the World Congress in November, your inputs will actually give us a lot of new thoughts. And those new thoughts, we assure you from the council point of view that we are going to capture whatever is going to be relevant, and that is going to be incorporated in the new syllabus which is going to come. So be open with mind, open with heart, take out little time, sit, evaluate, analyze, discuss, and then put your feedback on that application which our Vice President sir has actually talked about with. But the most important thing, as rightly said by President sir, again I would like to reiterate, we cannot be at a standstill position. We actually have to evolve every day, and that is where we want to move forward in a true spirit. With this, let me actually take you through the presentation where the Vice Chairman Vishal Doshi has actually talked about the foundation and the intermediate course, and the most talked about discussion which is happening, President sir, is on the self-paced learning. And I think, as I told you, a couple of people make certain general statements, but what is there in the self-paced learning? There cannot be a better institute than ICAI, which is adopted to the digital learning hub in a large manner. So friends, let me actually take you through the new thought which we have put post-intermediate course on the self-paced learning. As you all are aware, just let me take it 2 steps back. I am going to make you understand with regards to the intermediate course, which the vice chairman spoke about. The moment you qualify intermediate course, the moment you qualify the intermediate course, you are eligible to go for taking your practical training as articles. The moment you actually join for articles and till the time you are appearing for CA final examination, that is the kind of window which we have given for self-paced learning module. Now, in the self-paced module, what is going to be there is 4 sets are being discussed at length. Now, what are those four sets is something which we have to discuss now. Set A and set B are going to be compulsory. Set C and set D, you will have one of the papers to be selected as a choice, which you can do. And at this point in time, this module, the topics which are being put in A, B, C, and D set might not be the same by the time we go for the final curriculum, because based on the suggestions and recommendations which is going to come, there might be an amount of change which can be proposed. In this particular thing, set A, Vishal has specifically talked about corporate law and other laws. If you see, other laws and other economic laws have been actually pulled down from different modules, different subjects, and put into section set A, which is talking about FEMA, insolvency bankruptcy, prevention of money laundering, Competition Act, enforcement of security interest, RERA, prohibition of Benami transactions. All different kind of acts are there. Whether those 8 which are mentioned are sufficient or that need to be made to 18, at this point in time we are not fixed it. It might be a different suggestion which is going to come. Then out of that 8, whether 4 are required to be done, 6 are required to be done, which one we need to do, that is yet to be decided. Then set B, if you remember from the final, we have moved the costing paper to self-paced learning. Now, what is self-paced learning is something which I need to explain you all people. A self-paced learning is an online course which is being pre-recorded and kept on the digital learning hub. That subject will be dealt in detail and there will be pre-recorded lecture. Children have to listen to the pre-recorded lecture, understand the fundamental of that particular subject, and based on that, an MCQ test need to be taken up by the student. Now, what happens with MCQ? You need to get 50% marks in passing this self-assessment module. This marks will not be forming part of your final marks at any given point in time. But this is a prerequisite to qualify to write the final examination. So set A, set B, set C will be one of the topic which you can select of your own choice. Set D, for the first time ever we have introduced certain concept which is Constitution of India, which is in line with the NEP 2020, National Education Policy requires that we learn Constitution of India also, philosophy, psychology, entrepreneurship, and communication. If you see all these 4 sets, students have to do it anytime, anywhere, that learning. But they have to go for self-assessment. Self-assessment, as rightly mentioned by Vice President Sir, will be on a proctored mode, which is going to be one of the most important thing. You know by now what is proctoring, effectively where the entire system is going to record the assessment when you are doing the assessment test. I hope this you have understood well with regards to self-paced online modules. This has been a great success with regards to our digital learning hub as well as online classes. So this is going to be forming part of your new learning experience in time to come. Going to the next slide is on the final papers. As you are all aware, we had 8 papers. Out of the 8 papers, paper 1 remains to be same. Paper 2 also remains to be almost same. There might be a change which can be proposed in this, but not to the major extent. Paper 3 continues to be same. Paper 4, I am going to talk about it, which is separate. In our case, it was economic laws. Now corporate and economics laws. As you are aware, corporate laws is completely moved to intermediate. Economic laws has moved to self-paced learning, right? Why did we do that? Because a learning experience is more than enough for a CA student. When you qualify your CA, we have all advanced certification courses for all the topics which are mentioned in the self-paced module. Now, once you are done with that, you can take an advanced learning to the certification course. That is the whole thought which we have. So economic laws have moved there. Strategic cost management, because intermediate we are going to teach most of it, and advanced level of learning will be moved to self-paced learning module. So this is also moved out, right? Direct tax law and international taxation will continue to be there. Indirect tax law will continue to be there. So what is a major change is something which we need to really look at, which I would like to put before you. Right? Here we had in past couple of the paper 6 which was there. We had any one out of the 6 we had to select. But now what we have proposed is, by the time a person qualifies to be a chartered accountant, he should be an all-rounder. Yani integrated business solution is going to be the new paper 6 for the final students. That means my financial reporting, corporate law, direct tax, indirect tax, costing, other laws are going to be combined, and there will be a case study which will be coming up which a student have to answer. That means if you are able to respond to this case study effectively, that means you have understood the subject very effectively, and that is how this paper 6 has been completely planned for you people. Now, when we move to other examination aspects, I'll request the vice chairman to kindly take you all through the entire learning experience.
Yeah. So coming to the examination aspects, there will be some of the important areas which we would be discussing now. First is with respect to the manner of assessment. So under the foundation examination, presently we are having the papers which are partly subjective and partly objective, with a negative marking of 25% for each wrong answer to the MCQs. That continues in the proposed scheme, where we would be having 2 papers, that is paper 1 and paper 3, which would be objective MCQ types, and paper 2 and paper 4 should be descriptive. And in the objective type paper, the negative marking of 25% for each wrong answer to the MCQ would continue. So there is no change as far as the manner of assessment is concerned, as far as the foundation examination is there. In the intermediate exam, presently we have 30% MCQs in the theory papers and 70% descriptive in the theory. So 30-70 is the ratio in the theory papers, and there is no negative marking as far as the MCQs are concerned at the intermediate level. The proposal now is that all the papers would be 30% MCQs and 70% descriptive. So that is one change. And second, for all the papers, there is a proposal to introduce negative marking of 25% for each wrong answer to the MCQ. This is with respect to the intermediate examination, and a very similar proposal in the final examination. So final also presently we have 30% MCQs and 70% descriptive questions and closed book exams in select papers without any negative marking. The proposed scheme envisages a 30% MCQs and 70% descriptive in all papers, which negative marking of 25% for each wrong answer to the MCQs. There is also a proposal for the open book or restricted open book pattern of assessment. So the restricted open book pattern of assessment for clarification would mean that where the bare act is provided or is allowed to the student, and on that basis they have to appear for the assessment or the examination. So this is with respect to the foundation, intermediate and final, the examination aspects. Coming to the pass percentage. Presently in the foundation examination, the passing requirement is 40% in each paper and 50% in the aggregate. This is proposed to be changed to 50% in each paper at the foundation level. So what is 40% individually and 50% aggregate for all the 4 papers together? That is, you have to get 200 marks. So now it would be 50% in each paper is the minimum passing requirement for the foundation. Coming to the intermediate examination, we have 40% marks in the individual paper presently that student has to score, and 50% in the aggregate in the group to pass the group. That continues for in the proposed scheme also, 40% marks in individual paper and 50% marks in the aggregate for the proposed group to clear. For the final examination also, it's the same thing that we have 40% in the individual paper and 50% in the aggregate to pass the group, and the same continues for the under the proposed scheme also. As far as the self-paced online modules is concerned, this is being introduced for the first time. And so there is no existing pattern of evaluation for that, but what the proposed pattern for evaluation for the self-paced online modules is a minimum marks of 50% in each of the paper to pass. So this is with respect to the self-paced online module, the passing percentage. With respect to exemption at the intermediate and final level examination, well, friends, you must be aware the existing scheme of exemption, where if any student scores 60% or more in one or more paper in an attempt, but is not able to clear the remaining papers, then that student gets exemption from appearing in those papers in which he or she has got 60% or more for the subsequent 3 attempts, right? And the student has to appear for the remaining papers and score 40% in each and 50% in the aggregate, along with the marks that have been obtained in the exempted paper. This exemption was eligible for 3 attempts. After 3 attempts, if the student is still not successful, then the exemption would lapse, and thereafter the student would have to appear for all the papers and score 40% in each and 50% in the aggregate. That is what is the existing provisions. The proposal now is that this would still continue. In addition to that, from 4th attempt onwards, the student has an option to extend the exemption to that paper, but the condition being that for the remaining papers, the student has to score 50% in each. The student can opt not to avail of this permanent exemption and appear for all the 4 papers thereafter from 4th attempt or thereafter. So just to make things clear, I'll explain by way of an example. Let us say a student has scored 75% marks in a paper, and in the remaining 3 papers, the student is not able to be successful. So the student gets the exemption in this paper, and in the subsequent 3 attempts, the student has the option to appear for the remaining papers, remaining 3 papers, score 40% in each paper and obtain a total of 125 in the 3 papers. 125 plus 75 in the exempted paper, the student would score 200 and would pass the group in the aggregate. Now from 4th attempt onwards, if the student is not successful and the student goes for the exemption, the student will have to, so that 75, that paper remains as it is, the exempted, but for the remaining 3 papers, the student will have to score 50% marks in each of the paper, and then the student would be clearing that group. So this is with respect to the exemption changes that are being proposed in the new curriculum. Now I would request Chairman Sir to kindly take you all through the practical training, that is the articleship aspects.
Thank you, Vishal bhai. Guys, this is something which has been deliberated at a very large level externally. So let us make it open for our discussion also here. Primarily, we are talking about the foundation route and a direct entry route. It continues to be there. There is no change in that, right? A small change, but that will not impact anyone as such. But the duration of articles, which has actually come from 3 years to 2 years, is a very thoughtful approach which has been gone through by the council at a very large level. Now, what happened during the previous regime and what is proposed in the future regime is something which we need to really look at. 1/7 of the period of practical training was given as a leave period. So now we want a seamless practical training for the article students. That means a person should clear his intermediate examination. Once he completes his intermediate examination, he actually will come for doing his articles. During that articles of 2 years, he should not be having more than 12 leaves per year. That is what has been proposed. Please understand, we have done a detailed calculation and the impact was 130 days, right? Which is actually getting little reduced if you see from a reduction point of view. But that is at a condition where a person, if he clears one group of intermediate and he was joining articleship and he used to take 30 days leave or 60 days leave depending upon principal to principal, and if it is 1 attempt or 2 attempt, that again depends on person to person. So those number of leaves are actually getting added, though it was forming part of 1/7 number only. But the point was he was going for a break again and again. In this particular curriculum, we have thought let that person complete intermediate with good knowledge and focused knowledge and then come for a practical training. Now, if you can just imagine, people were thinking that 2 attempts, will it be sufficient? If you go back and see in our tab, in the tab, we are asking whether 2 times exam is okay or 3 times we need to conduct intermediate examination, because 6 months might be a longer period of time. If you have suggestion where person can write exam, unfortunately he could not perform well, he need not wait for 6 months. They can immediately in the next 4 months time, they are able to write examination. So the intake of the article also will not get disturbed and people will be motivated to complete their examination on appropriate time. Otherwise, they had to wait for a longer period of time. So with this thought only, we have actually introduced the concept of 3 years or 2 years of learning, 2 years of learning in the process. Then on the practical aspect, again, on the industrial training side, slide G. Yeah. On the industrial training side, we had 9 to 18 months of industrial training, which is now reduced to 9 to 12 months because the article period is reduced. So that number of period for industrial training also has been reduced. More importantly, what was happening is when people wanted to go for industrial training, they were stuck with the last 6 months of examination leaves, right? So this will actually get negated because of this. Point number 1. People might be thinking the articles can go for transfer. The limitation of articles of transfer is only going to be for 1 year, not within 1 year, not beyond that. Only under a specified condition which has been approved by the council, they will be allowed to take transfer. Only and only in case if a student is willing to move from articles to industrial training, at that time it will be allowed. Then the stipend is almost double now, not almost, it is double now, 100% increase is there. We have been receiving a lot of response from the members at large that the article stipend should actually be much more than what is expected. So kindly put your suggestions. So based on the majority, we are going to follow those things. in detail. So that is another part which we wanted to take you through. Then the next is the eligibility criteria for BAA. There has been a good amount of deliberation happening among the youngsters. What is this BAA? And also among the people who are qualified, semi-qualified in past. Earlier, if a person has done only one group and could not complete, now it is a beautiful opportunity for those people to actually come back to write that one group and take a BAA certification. Number two, people who are brilliant, unfortunately, they are not able to clear their CA final examination, but still they have completed intermediate and they are doing a fantabulous job. What is the requirement which we have thought? It was earlier, there was an accounting technician level which was there. So now that accounting technician was required to be, they could apply only by clearing one group. What we want to tell the market, not only national but international market, is look, though my chartered, this person who is qualified is intermediate level, is semi-qualified, but the most important part is he has completed his practical training, he has completed his soft skill and information technology training, he has completed his self-paced module, he is halfway qualified, and now we want to give the recognition to all those people in past, present or future. If they want to come and apply for BAA, they can apply for BAA, so that the family will be larger and we can actually showcase to the world a semi-qualified chartered accountant also has an exit route and he can showcase his degree which he has achieved. So this is the reason we have introduced the concept of BAA. Then furthermore, on the certificate of practice, this is again a point of deliberation which is coming at a larger level, at the country level. There was no such criteria earlier, but the council has felt that, when you are reducing the period of training, why not we actually think about a person who's going to industry can directly go into industry. But when a person wants to come to do practice, he should work under a chartered accountant who is holding certificate of practice, and then only he can apply for COP. There has been different deliberations. We will talk in time to come. But yes, please trust me, good number of people are going to come forward to participate in this particular process. That is on the certificate of practice side. Last one is on the international curriculum. As you heard President and Vice President talking about the international curriculum, we are reaching out to those countries which are a little weaker. They don't have their own accounting bodies or professional bodies like ICAI is. We might go and set up their institutes. We might, give them a syllabus from our side and ultimately recognize those people who are qualifying as chartered accountants. So those chartered accountants will not be eligible to write examination, do certificate of practice here, but all those countries, they'll be eligible to do it. So we are introducing the concept of international curriculum in this term, and we request you to kindly give your feedback also in a larger manner so that our people can spread across internationally, not only in the 65 chapters, but 650 chapters we should be having. So with this, I'll request my Vice Chairman to say a few words, and we can actually conclude, or we can go for a Q&A.
Yeah, we are Q&A. Yeah, so we can go for the Q&A.
Good afternoon, students. We have received certain questions from your end. I'll be posing the same to my chairman and vice chairman, sir. So one of the students is saying, how many attempts of self-paced module in a year are you going to introduce, sir?
Well, so presently there is no such cap on the number of attempts or any such thing. Like the chairman sir discussed, it's going to be a continuous process of study and examination between your intermediate and final as far as the self-paced modules are concerned. We will have to develop the SOPs once the curriculum, the feedback and everything is finalized and the curriculum is finalized. But since this would be online proctored examination, maybe what can happen is there would be a time lag between that a student can appear between two examinations, maybe a week or 10 days or 2 weeks time lag, so that there is a sufficient preparation time that the student gets between the two examinations. But hopefully presently the scheme does not envisage any cap on the number of attempts that can be that a student would be eligible to appear for the self-paced online modules.
Thank you, sir. Sir, it appears students are very much interested in our new scheme and they are wanting to know when they can actually register in this. So one of the students is inquiring that if I clear my CA intermediate in May 22 both groups, then shall I be eligible for final in the new scheme?
A very nice question. Thank you for asking that. See, we are going to come out with the transition provisions in a short time. Once we get the entire feedback, how it has been asked, what are the questions, what are the concerns which people have, and accordingly we are going to look in. So hope everything goes well. Then might be May 23 or November 23 will be the time where the new curriculum will be introduced. So hopefully all the people who are listening to this session can assume that 23 or May or 23 or November 23 might be a probability of having a new syllabus coming in.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one of the student is inquiring that rather asking that if you can tell me about the direct entry route in the proposed scheme. I think, sir, some doubts are there. Sir, if you can throw some light, like currently the direct entry students, after registering in the intermediate, sir, they after and undergoing the training of ICAI TSS, they can commence their training of, and after 9 months of training, they are eligible to sit for the exams of intermediate. So I think, sir, under the new scheme, sir, they're wanting to know, is it going to remain the same, or when they can sit for the exams and when they can commence the training?
Yeah, so for the direct route students, it is very similar to what is there in the existing scheme. There are no major changes as such. So I'll just highlight what is the
sir, one big change, sir, which is there is that as regards students from the foundation route and the direct entry route, now the study period
I'm coming to that.
Yes,
first,
sir,
I'm talking about whatever is the eligibility.
Eligibility
So
part,
the eligibility for the direct entry route for the commerce graduates and the postgraduates would be a minimum of 55% marks for the commerce graduates, and for the other graduates or postgraduates, that is other than the commerce stream, it would be 60% marks. So this would be the eligibility one from the graduation course, and second is that those students who have passed the intermediate level of the company secretary exam or the Institute of Cost Accountants of India examination, they would also be eligible for direct entry. So as far as the entry is concerned, these are the I would say the conditions in the existing scheme also, and it is same in the proposed scheme also. But the major change is that now under the proposed scheme, the student will have to have a gap of 8 months, which we typically say is the study period that is required for the direct entry scheme. So earlier, in the current situation, a student who used to join the direct entry scheme was eligible to appear for intermediate exam after completing 9 months of practical training. But now, under the proposed scheme, the student, even under now the direct entry scheme, as well as those who have passed the foundation examination, they would have to undergo a 8-month study period, appear for the intermediate examinations, clear both groups of the intermediate examinations, and then join the practical training, the articleship. So this is with respect to the direct entry route.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, one of the student is also inquiring that, sir, how it affects the students who have already passed inter and now they are in final. Are they required to appear for additional paper? Those sir, they are actually asking about the self-paced modules. So since they are, sir, they have all in the they have done the 8 papers in the intermediate. Now at the final, and they are in the final now. So now they're saying once the new scheme gets introduced, will they have to do those additional self-paced modules also?
So this is going to be a decision which we need to take it at a later point in time. But it will be, please note for all the students, as again Vice President has been very categorical in mentioning that, and also the President has specifically mentioned that the scheme will be for the benefit of students. We are not going to give you any kind of strain which is going to be additional burden for all you people. Be rest assured on that side, be comfortable on that side. Once the final scheme comes out, you yourself will feel that it is a very comfortable scheme which is there for the benefit of students.
Sir, another question. Sir, students are quite inquisitive about the self-paced modules. They are asking about the self-paced modules. Sir, they are saying how it's really going to make a difference. The introduction of self-paced module, how it's going to change the regime of education.
Very, very nice question. Rather, I can put it that way. See, first and foremost thing you please understand in the intermediate level when we were doing corporate laws, I also studied, Vishal also has studied, multiple people who have qualified CA, including Madam Vandana, you have actually gone to this entire process, right?
Yes, right.
What was happening is the focus which we wanted to give it to a specific subject, that was getting somewhere, I'll not say it was not effective, but that can be improvised. That is the point which we are trying to tell. So other laws, when we moved it to self-paced learning, and we also evaluated the number of chartered accountants who are willing to take the advanced certification course post-qualification are large in number. Why it should be a burden for a student who doesn't want to learn FEMA or he doesn't want to learn RERA? It can be of his choice, which area of expertise you want to do. During my articles, I have not focused on income tax, but over a period of time, I learned it in my process of holding a certificate of practice. So what I'm trying to tell you is the focus of examination is going to be on a subject matter, one. Number two, all these other laws which are there, which are in final or which were in inter, they have moved out to keep it separate. They are important to learn. So that's the reason they are put as a self-paced learning module anytime, anywhere, wherever, night 2 o'clock in bus, auto, taxi, rickshaw, or a train. You can listen to the entire lectures, and based on your convenience and understanding, go and write your self-assessment test. You are done with. So what is required at a stage of qualifying, that much only is being given to the student in a true sense. Once you qualify, right? Once you qualify, you take an advanced learning process in that. So the logic of putting this self-paced learning is you should be an all-rounder, having minimum knowledge of a particular subject, and then when you want advanced learning knowledge, at that point in time, you do a certification course. So this is a major change which has come.
Thank you, sir.
I'll just add to that what Chairman Sir initially also mentioned, that this is also to reduce the burden of the intermediate and final examinations without actually diluting the course curriculum. So what we have observed, not just with you, we have also passed these examinations, that the May-November burden is so high, and there is a lot of stress that the students go through. So the council decided that this should get evenly spread, so that the students are able to perform better, they are able to learn better, and in their own pace, as per the time available to them. and also give a choice of the subjects by which they are able to decide, specialize at a very early level. So additional advantage of this self-paced is that without diluting the course, the students are given sufficient time to prepare. And another great advantage of the self-paced learning module, online module, is that the marks of the self-paced module would not be added to your final examination to determine whether you are successful or not successful. So these are independent examinations for evaluating and would not get connected with your final examination.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I think many questions we are receiving on self-paced module. One more question on the self-paced module. I think that shows the inquisitiveness of our students, sir. Sir, one of the students is saying, given there is a lot of talk about communication skills of CA students, whether the esteemed Central Council is considering including English literature in the self-paced module.
So yes, self-paced module is not going to stop here. Just for the benefit of members, students, I can only tell you one thing. The self-paced module is the new way of learning. That is right. We are continuously telling, and we will have that in set A, B, C, D. Different kind of modules will be added. So will be of your choice. If a person is weak in English, in communication, they might have a session or a discussion or a test with regards to communication itself. So there will be more and more coming forward. So please, it is not a dilution, rightly said Vishal Bhai, it is not a dilution. It is more of a focused learning which has been given to the students. We are very happy that the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has also respected this in a very big manner. So I request you all people, so don't take it light. It is going to be very important in your learning process. And more importantly, if you don't qualify the self-paced learning assessment test, you will not be eligible to write final examination. So you are being given 2.5 years of window for doing self-paced learning. From start of your articles till 6 months of, before the examinations you need to clear. So that is what it is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, if you allow, I'll ask one last question. Sir, one of the questions which has been asked is, a student is inquiring, want to know whether the post-qualification criteria of 1 year to practice under a practicing chartered accountant will be applicable to existing students who have completed 3 years of articleship, but to give exam in new proposed scheme due to any reason.
So, madam, the concept is, this is again a transitory provision which is going to come in, where people have completed 3 years of articles, but we have put one more condition for the COP. That if you want to take a COP, you need to work under a chartered accountant, right, for 1 year. Assuming we have given one more provision in that, where we talked about in last 5 years, if a person has worked under a chartered accountant, in last 5 years, if a person has worked under a chartered accountant for that period of 1 year, he will be exempted. Might be that is for the futuristic approach. But this provision is also going to come, hopefully, in the new regime when we talk about the transitory provisions.
Sure. Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, if you can apprise our students about the feedback form where all it is available. So it is available at the YouTube as well as at the Institute's main website page also. Sir, if you can tell them, and about the mobile app also.
Yeah. So
yeah. So well, students, a couple of more things. One is about the feedback. The feedback has to be, I would say, I would request, not has, but is requested from all of you. So it is not only for those who have any disagreement or suggestions to be given. It is for everybody. So even if you agree with all the points of the CRET, we would request you that please do submit the feedback please do not go under the assumption that since I agree with everything, I did not submit the feedback. That would be incorrect. We need feedback from everybody, whether in agreement or in disagreement. The form has been hosted on the Board of Studies special page, which is boscret.icai.org. I think you're putting up on the screen the page. So friends, there are 49 questions to the and there are various sections to the feedback form, where you have about the background, the general particulars. Then you have the tab on your foundation with respect to foundation. Then you have with respect to the intermediate. Thereafter, the next tab, if you see, is on the practical training. Then on the self-paced learning modules, you have questions on the soft skills and IT. Then on the final course, the exit route, eligibility for certificate of practice, and finally the international curriculum. So these are various tabs, and we would request you to please give your feedback on all the questions on each of the tab that is there. So that is with respect to, and if you want a direct link, you can go to the homepage of the ICAI, the institute, ICAI.org, and on that you will find a button which mentions about this proposed scheme of education and training, which you can click, and it will take you to this feedback form window. And in fact, it will take you to all the notifications, this presentation, the longer presentation. This was a shorter one, but the detailed presentation is also available on the website, which you can download and refer before you submit the feedback form. Our earnest request is, friends, we have deliberated at length. We have answered a lot of questions. Things would be fresh in your mind. So immediately after this webinar, if you are able to open the link and submit your feedback, it would be really a true feedback from your side after understanding all the aspects, and it would be really appreciated from our side. As far as the Board of Studies is concerned, and we would request you, all the students, that the Board of Studies has launched its app. Now it's almost 2 years since the BOS app has been launched. You can find it on the Apple as well as the Google Play Store, the BOS, the Board of Studies of ICAI app. We request you to please download it. It contains a lot of information and details with respect to the study material, the e-books, the student journal, and the capsules. The institute also has started with the live virtual coaching classes for the foundation, intermediate, and final examinations. So you can either connect to the app and view the live coaching classes, or in case you are not able to join the live virtual coaching classes, these are all free. You can check it from the BOS app, or even on the YouTube page of the BOS, where all these lectures are available to students free. So these are the activities which the Board of Studies carries out for the students, and we would earnestly request you to please take maximum benefits of the initiatives of the Board of Studies.
Thank you, sir. Sir, for apprising the students about all the initiatives which the BOS has taken. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, Chairman, sir, and the Vice Chairman, sir, and our President, sir, and Vice President, sir, in absentia. All have been here and apprised you about the proposed scheme of education and training. They have explained in detail about the nuances of the proposed scheme, and what all we are trying to bring through this new scheme is also been apprised to you by through these slides. And the detailed explanation also they have given as to why the scheme has been changed and on what counts it has been changed. So students, thank you all. And sir, thank you both of you a lot for apprising students about the details about the proposed scheme. So thank you very much, students. Do fill the form and give us your feedback, which will help us in shaping the career of the CA profession. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.